Hey, welcome everyone. Mike Filsaime here. I'm very excited. We're going to be getting some great training today for webinar control. Thanks so much for making it here on time. You're going to be very happy. Plus, there's going to be a bonus for everyone at the end. I'm going to be going really fast today with some great content to help you double the profits on your next webinar, or even triple, like most of the people that I've consulted for. You're going to see that real soon as well. And if I feel like I'm going a little bit fast for you, don't worry. At the end, I'm going to give you a link where you can download all of the slides that you have here. So please make sure to pay attention, take some notes. I'm here live at Mike Koenig's studio. Over here we have Mike Koenig's. I don't know if we can get the camera on him, but if so.
How's it going?
So
Welcome.
Mike Koenig's,
Thanks, Mike.
Oops, sorry. Mike Koenig's is going to be helping us with the chat room, along with a lot of people on my team. I happened to do that for him the other day, and he's going to be doing the same thing for me. I'm so happy to have him helping out. Keep in mind also, on the chat, let me just get some water here. Thank you. On the chat, on the left side of the chat when you're typing, there's a little toggle that drops that down to a question. If you have a question, put it in there. We're going to be taking the questions and we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end, and I'm going to answer as many of your questions as possible. The thing is, if you don't toggle it as a question and you ask a question and then I say, hey, are you guys getting a lot out of this? And 300 people type yes, 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 then what happens is we cannot see your question. It just flies up. So we have a separate place that catches your questions when you put that in there. So I'm going to jump right now and let's get right going into the training. While I'm moving over to the other set here to get the training going, if you can, please let us know in the chat that you can see us and hear us pretty good, and let us know your name and where you're from. So let's jump right in. Okay, guys. So first thing, what I want to do is I want to make you a promise about what you're going to learn today. And I promise that in just over the next hour, or maybe a little bit more, because I have a lot of content for you, that you're going to be able to double the sales of your current webinar. And if you've never done a webinar before, you're going to have a template to follow to do high converting webinars, just like many people that are running their entire online businesses with just webinars. Okay? And remember, this is a 2-part webinar. Okay? I'm going to do part 1, and then we're going to take a small little break, and then we're going to come back for part 2. And part 2 is even better than part 1, and you're just absolutely going to love part 1. So you're going to be blown away when we get to part 2. Okay? Next, in part 2, you see it says here, you will learn the webinar control framework that we've been doing that has doubled again the last 7 webinar promotions we have done for our affiliates, generating $2 million in sales in just 2 months. Obviously, results are not typical. Okay? Next here, I'm going to promise to give you guys great content. And by doing that, do I have your permission to take about 10 minutes to give you guys a great offer for you to consider? And if that sounds fair, type yes in the chat. Okay, now guys, this is going to be all up to you, and I'm not going to do this offer unless I give you great content that you can use in your business starting today, and I'm only going to do that with your permission. Okay, so please do me a favor, if that's cool with you, if you're cool with me giving you a very special offer that I've made for you today, as long as my content is good. In fact, as long as my content blows you away. I don't see the chat, but Mike's going to tell me what you're saying. So type yes in the chat, and if Mike...
we have tons and tons of yeses. All right, so that's exciting. And I've already had a chance to look through some of the slides, and Mike's got some incredible stuff for you. So keep those yeses coming, and remember to introduce yourself as well. So take it away, Mike.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I'm going to go over a couple of things for about 7 minutes that are going to frame all of this stuff. It's very important. One of the most important things in marketing is to frame your content, your information, your webinars, your sales letters so that people can understand them better. So for the first 5 or 7 minutes, there's not going to be much to take notes about. So please understand that this is so that you can get more out of this, and it's really going to pay off for you for years to come. So now, a bonus for everyone, as I said, just for sticking around until the end, I'm going to be giving away an additional free bonus at the end of the training, and you are going to have an opportunity to get all of the slides here that I'm going over. So first, the humble truth. I wasn't always that good at webinars. The real truth is I was average at best. And that's why I only did a few per year. I didn't know how to structure my slides. I was horrible at making a close. And you know, I just did enough that when somebody asked me to promote their webinars, I did it. And I used to do about one per year. Now it is my entire business. In fact, I'm going to share with you exactly why and some results and how you can do it as well. But as it says there, I was never able to make a business out of it for my main products up until the last year and a half. All right. So next slide here. That was until I interviewed 26 of the 25 plus, 26 of the world's best webinar marketers on the planet. Names like Russell Brunson, Jeff Walker, Frank Kern, Mike Koenigs, who's here with me today, Brendon Burchard, Anik Singhal, John Assaraf, who's absolutely crushing it with webinars, Evan Pagan, Alex Mondosian, Pam Hendrickson, one of the best webinar marketers I've ever seen, Jason Fladlin, Ed Dale, Stephen Renton, Bill McIntosh, Rich Sheffrin, and then 15 other underground marketers that are doing millions per year. Some have $5 and $6 million businesses just doing webinars that no one's ever heard of before, and they want to keep it that way. All right. So what I did is after talking to these 26 marketers, I created a super document. I recorded every single one of these videos. I had them highly produced back so that I could take notes from them. I then had them transcribed, and I archived all of this information. And what I found was that about 80% of what they said was all the same things. But about 20% of what they said, nobody else was doing. I call these pearls. And I highlighted them in each document, then I created a super document, and then I put these things that maybe one or two webinar marketers are doing that are so outrageously fantastic that when you combine them and put them all into your next webinar, even if you've never done one before, and if you have, you're going to be blown away by this stuff. Each one of these different sections I'm going to show you increases profits by about 20%, and that's how you double your webinar. All right, so I'm going to share it with you today, and now you can get the shortcut on what works without spending 3 months finding and interviewing world experts and compiling as it says, compiling all this information like I did. You can learn all the good stuff without years and expenses that I had to endure to learn this while doing the hard and embarrassing way. Okay. All right, so what that means for you guys is that, I won't do it again, Mike. I'm going to try not to say you guys. What that means for you watching is that you can take this shortcut and just take everything that I learned. I'm giving you a template that you're going to be able to plug into your next webinar without having to worry about making the mistakes, okay? So some results in advance, if I may. All right, remember I told you I'm putting a frame around this, so nothing to take notes for about 2 more minutes, all right? What you're seeing is a typical webinar promotion that I'm doing right now. I do webinars on Wednesdays, then I do encores on Fridays, okay? And then I do a scarcity closeout replay that's highly structured. That's the final part of the presentation today that you have to stick around for. Now, I know, and Mike Koenigs has even shared with me just last week, because his results look just like this as well for a recent promotion that he did. And when you see the Wednesday, the numbers there, it says 34 sales for $33,000 for a webinar that I had done recently. Most people, after they do their first webinar, either by themselves, internally, with a JV partner, promoting for somebody else, they usually say something like this: all right, hey, we did pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render out the webinar replay, and I'll get it to you tomorrow. And if you could send an email, and if you do it that way, at best, you're going to get 50% of the sales. At best. That means if you did 34 sales on your webinar, you're going to get about 15 to 17 by doing a replay, and you're going to end up with about 45. What I'm going to be teaching you later is going to show you how your first webinar does 34, your second one would do 60, and then on the weekend you would close out with almost another 60. The slides there say 58, totaling, I don't see that number there, it's hard for me to read. It looks like 169 or 189. I'm sorry, it's tough for me to see that from here in the slides, but the bottom line is the total amount of revenue as well that is brought in is more than triple compared to what most people are just doing. So if you guys are excited to learn exactly what I call an encore strategy, and many people are trying to copy this right now, but there are some certain things that go from the Wednesday promotion to the Friday promotion to the closeout that you cannot reverse engineer. You have to be taught. So if you're excited to learn that, type yes in the chat, and then we're going to continue here. All right? What you're seeing here is another example of a webinar that we did on a Wednesday, then a Friday, and a weekend closeout. So again, most people settle for that first peak that you're seeing right there. Could you imagine how much money is being left on the table if you're settling just for that first peak? Mike, what are they saying? Are they excited?
Yes, 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 yes. Heck yes from Lance. All right,
Thank you,
Joan
Lance.
says yes, Nancy says yes, so we've got all kinds of people. Thank you. Keep it coming. And again, if you're just joining, make sure you introduce yourself in chat and tell Mike where you live, what you do for a living. Keep it going, Mike. This is great.
Thank you. This is a spreadsheet I didn't even approve with Mike, but I'm allowed to share it with my affiliates, so I'm pretty sure Mike's going to be okay with it. CAP means consult and profit. And MF is me, and EPC. This was a breakdown of my promotion that I did just last week. Many of you on here were on that webinar. If you were on the webinar with Mike Koenigs last week for Consult and Profit, let us know in the chat. So if we can be transparent, we need to be, right? In a business to business, if I'm teaching you webinars, many of the such stuff I'm teaching you today, I'm actually using in my presentation. And I'm going to call out some of that stuff. What I'm doing, I'm also training you on today. So what you see here, I did 44 sales for Mike at $19.97. That's about $87,000. I sent 2,300 clicks to his webinar. We had 67% of the people convert, 1,500 people. We had a show rate of 51%. Most people get 20 to 30. With what I'm going to teach you, you get a 51%. We had 790 people come in and out, but the engaged people were 443. We had a 9.93% closing rate, but what I want you to look over is where you see the EPC, earnings per click, $37.94, all right? $34.94 was the gross EPC. I got somewhere about 40% or 50% of that, but that is unheard of. I don't know if you know what it takes to get a JV partner today. Most people, $1 to $2 per click. They're not going to mail for anything less. If you're doing a launch, $3 to $4. If you're doing or advertising a $10 EPC, people will not believe you, right? People will just not believe you at all. So Mike's EPC with this was $37 per click. What that meant is every single time somebody clicked a link in an email, it generated $37 in the shopping cart. If I was able to send more traffic, those numbers would stay the same, only the profits would have increased. And don't worry, I've got a real good bonus that breaks down some of this stuff for you that I'm going to talk about just later. All right? Next, it says, I just want to see something. Mike sent me some little notes here. Okay, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. So, guys, this stuff works, and you can be doing this too, so pay close attention here. I do apologize about some of these slides. I just made them last night, working very late for you. All right? So let's talk about why most people are failing today. All right? And I believe that there is an overabundance in training on funnels and using freemiums and tripwires and making video sales letters and traditional product launches. The fact of the matter is, it's a long time to get data. And most of the time when you create a funnel, it's not going to be successful right away. All right, so if you're creating a funnel and you have to give a freemium, you're going to be taking some of your content from your main course and giving it away. Then they tell you to make a tripwire. So you got to take a little bit more of your product, make a really great promise. A tripwire is a very low product offer that's about $7. So now you're promising people, here's everything you need to know in this freemium if you opt in. Then as soon as they opt in, you say, now here's a little bit more of everything you need to know for $7. And then after that, you're supposed to try to upsell them for $47 or $97 when you just told them that the $7 offer was everything they needed. By the time you do the videos for your opt-in page, your tripwire, your video sales letter, your upsell, your downsell, and now you go do traffic or get a joint venture partner, it doesn't work, it takes sometimes 2 to 3 months to get this stuff going. And a traditional product launch, these are some of the scariest things. Mike Koenigs will tell you the same thing. Creating video 1, which is 20 minutes of content, video 2, 20 minutes of content, video 3, 20 minutes of content for the pre-launch, getting all of your JV partners to promote for something that doesn't even make them money because it's pre-launch, hoping that it pays off when the card opens, hoping that your high production video sales letter with great fonts and great slides and animations and on camera is going to work, and God forbid it doesn't. You cannot recover from a failed product launch. In fact, many people have had failed product launches and can't get JV partners ever again. You can get tainted. So the beautiful thing about webinars is you can do what I'm doing today, get results instantly and say, okay, Mike, you were a little bit long here. You moved too fast. You weren't clear on these things, and I can improve and go back and redo it the next day. All right. So here's why you should be doing webinars. They're the fastest, easiest, and best way to sell your product or service and profit online, period. Okay. Just going back, talking about product launches. Ordinary people that I talk to and that I've coached, they tell me it is some of the toughest things to do. When I show them how to do webinars properly, they call me back, or next time I talk to them in consulting, the smiles on their face are absolutely amazing. Here's something my business partner, Andy Jenkins, said, and I love it. Nothing converts a visitor to a web page to a higher dollar amount in your shopping cart than live webinars. So what Andy is saying there is no form of traffic for information marketers, authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, software developers that are selling software, B2B, all these different things. There is nothing, even for local, for real estate, for finance, nothing is going to convert your visitor to a higher dollar amount in your shopping cart. That means if you want to do things like freemiums and funnels and upsells and tripwires and all these different things, and you haven't tested webinars, especially the way that I'm doing it, you're leaving a lot of money on the table and you're making it a lot harder than it has to be. So here's why webinars are the best way to market online. You don't need to prepare a sales letter. You don't need to do a video sales letter, which are complicated. You set your bullet points and you do what I'm doing right now. Once I see a bullet point, I talk about it. You don't have to worry about building complicated funnels. They're not only great for making sales, but they're also great for product creation and training and affiliate promotions. It's great for fulfillment. You can actually sell a product that hasn't been created yet and fulfill it by doing live webinars. And it's a great way with engaging with your customers, and it's a great way for doing continuity programs. They're great for products anywhere from $197, $297, $1,997, $5,000. In fact, if you're selling a product for $47, I'm going to tell you right now, you can probably position it the way I'm going to show you and sell it easily for $297 and 10x your profits when you combine everything else that I'm doing here. So, continued, they're the best way to build a list. You're getting JV partners and driving traffic to a landing page where your freemium is the promised content on the webinar. If you notice my webinar, I didn't promise you guys a freemium. I didn't say you're going to get this report when you opt in. On my webinar, I said you're going to learn this information, and here you are, because the training is the freemium. So it makes things so much easier. It's the best way to get JV partners. Everybody wants to promote webinars because they're what gives the best checks, the best value, the happiest customers. They are low risk as opposed to product launches, as I said. You improve on everything you do. Once you do a funnel with video sales letters, if you want to just change one slide, you got to record the entire thing all over again. It's not easy. Every time I do this webinar, I'm going to keep getting better at it because I'm going to find out. I'm going to be getting feedback from you guys in the chat. And Mike's going to let me know what was said, and I can make it better and explain more where I didn't explain enough and take out what was just fluff and didn't connect with you guys. It allows me to do teaching. When you teach, you can transform people. When you can transform people before you ask them for money, then you can ask for the transaction. You get to train and educate people like I'm doing right now and not sell people. People love that. I'm building right now trust, authority, credibility. I'm establishing myself as an expert and a thought leader, and you can do the same thing. That's what webinars are good for. When somebody comes to your video sales letter, at this point, they already know they're being sold. That's all you can do in a video sales letter is sell. And people, they don't want to give you more than 4 minutes. Here, I'm probably going to have a good 60 to 90 minutes of your attention. Customers that buy from webinars refund less because they're more indoctrinated with the product. They buy at higher prices. They buy more often. They open more of your emails, click more of the links, and take more action. They're the most engaged people, so I want to shout out to all of you guys for being on this webinar because you're the most engaged people that I have, all right? They're the highest percentage of live hotel event guests. They give more testimonials. They're more active on your social media, your forums, your Facebook groups. And we found that that overall, they're our best customers and actually our smartest customers that we have and the most action-oriented. So with all this, is there any reason not to be doing webinars? So, are you ready to learn? Are you ready to learn these secrets? Now you're going to start taking notes. I'm going to ask you to type yes in the chat one more time. I get very energized when I know that you guys are excited. I feed off of it. You can see just saying that my energy went back up. So Mike, what are they saying?
We're getting yeses from Sisman and Jack and Winnie and Daniel and Cheryl and George and Marvin, Emily, AC, Joan, Sunny, Monica, all kinds of people. So stay tuned. Keep it going, Mike.
Thanks. And remember, if you have any questions, don't just type it in the chat. Toggle on the left side of the chat to turn it into a question, and that way I can answer your questions at the end of this broadcast. So thanks so much, guys. I'm so glad that you're engaged here. I'm pumped. Let's move in. What I'm about to show you is so important, I broke them down into 5 laws, all right? So a little side note, not one law alone is going to double your webinar profits. Each law is probably going to increase your overall profits by 20%. When you apply the 20% increase to all 5 laws, that's how you double your profits, all right? So here are the 5 laws that I'm going to teach you. Law number 1 is the law of maximum registrations. Law number 2, the law of the maximum show rate. You saw my incredible numbers. I'm going to show you how I do it. Law number 3, so starting from the first one, law number 1, maximum registrations. That's great if they register, but if they don't show up, then you're doing something wrong. I don't want to hear that you have a 50% conversion rate, but you only have a 20% show rate. I want you to have a 50% show rate like I do, all right? Then the law of the maximum stick rate. When people show up on your webinar, your slides need to be engaging. You need to be exciting. You need to be training. You need to have a reason for people to stick around. If people get on and you're sitting there for 7 minutes talking to your host, I met Mike back in, I think, in 2006, and nobody cares about that stuff. So you've got to engage quickly or they bounce out, all right? Next is the law of maximum high converting offers. If you can get people to show to your webinar and stay on the webinar, and then they come to see your presentation and they're not interested, then you're not going to make as much money as you really want. And finally, the law of the echo, how to increase profits with encores. I put replays there, but I really want this to be encores. All right, so it's the way I see people doing replays now. We are going to be revolutionizing the way webinars are done. If you're taking note here today, you're going to love it. Okay, so let's break down these laws. Let's start with law number 1. All right, so the first thing for the law of maximum registrations is on your registration page, you need to solve one problem with a big, bold promise. All right, so I like to say things like, you're going to get all the really good without the really bad, even if you never, or even if you always, right? So an example of the really good with the really bad is, I'm going to show you how to lose 10 pounds over the next 7 days and keep it off without any exercise, any additional exercise, and without giving up any of the foods that you love. Even if you failed at every other diet that you've tried before, because this is not a diet, right? I'm just making a big promise. That's all that I'm doing. I think many times when we look at our webinar slides, we try to get every single one of our bullet points into one headline, and we get very, very bland headlines like, finally, you could have the life that you achieve. Attend this webinar. It's bland. Find out what your big promise is. Yes, you'll be teaching a lot more things, right? I couldn't summarize everything here. I had to figure out what is the pain of my market, and that was the headline that I used, and I'm going to show you that in a couple of slides that we use for this webinar. Next, telegraph the outcome. Tell people what they're going to learn, how long it's going to take, so you can give the results. You're going to get these results in this amount of time. You're going to double your profits on your next webinar. You're going to lose 7 pounds in 10 days. You have to give people results and a time and how long it's going to take. Next, your bullets need to have curiosity, self-assessment, and sorting. Basically, what self-assessment means is asking somebody, are you type A or type B? You'll find out in the webinar. Curiosity is great. I like my bullet points to have curiosity. That's why one of my bullet points on this webinar, that I'm going to be revealing the secret to you soon, said testimonials on webinar registration pages. Do they hurt conversions or do they help conversions? In fact, I want to know what you guys are thinking before I actually get there. Let me know in the chat what you think. Do you think testimonials on webinar registration pages are going to help you get more signups, or do you think they're going to hurt you get more signups for your webinar? Let me know in the chat. I'm very curious. So Notice I used curiosity. So that makes you want to come onto this webinar just to find that out. Geez, I'm using testimonials on my webinar. I need to find out if that's actually the wrong thing or the right thing to do. So make sure that your bullets are intriguing, but use curiosity. All right, next, urgency and immediacy. This is an event. It's special, and you need to be let them know that the attendee needs to be there live. It can change your life. And if it's not going to change somebody's life, then really, why should they come? It's going to be a waste of their time. That's what they're thinking. I like to stress that there's going to be no replay if that's going to be the actual case. I want to tell people to get there early, what they're going to learn. It's new, it's exciting, it's fresh. I've got new stuff that I'm putting on in my business or whatever the case is. I see a lot of registration pages that aren't selling the fact that this is an event and you need to show live. And the more bland it is, not only the low conversions you're going to have on the registration page, but the low rates you're going to have with people signing up. Here's a cool conversion tip for you. Use a topic specific bio of the host. So, Mike, what did people say? What were you seeing? Testimonials, did they work or not work? What was your consensus in the percentages there?
In terms of the answer is help. Wow. Tons and tons of those, yeah.
Guys, I'm so glad you're here today. Testimonials on your webinar registration pages actually hurt and depress conversions. Here's why. Many times testimonials on your webinar page are saying, I'm a customer of Mike Filsame's Webinar Control. Once you get your hands on it, what did my customer just do? They telegraphed the sale of a product. I've been a client of Mike Koenig's for 4 years. Every time Mike Koenig's has information, I'm there to buy it or I'm there to access it. Testimonials we've tested actually can hurt the conversions. What makes conversions increase is a topic-specific bio. So you want to write a bio about the host because the traffic is coming in either from Facebook or JV partners that don't know the host. Who is Mike Filsame and what right does he have to teach me about webinars? Right? I don't want other people saying Mike's Webinar Control product is the best. No, I want to be able to basically say something you would see on the back of a New York Times bestseller. Mike Filsame is co-founder of Webinar Jam and EverWebinar, the world's leading webinar products for marketers, and has done this many webinars and blah, 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 and gets paid $25,000 for consulting on webinars. The information he's going to be sharing, he only shares with his $25,000 clients, and you're going to learn that today. That is what's going to sell, and I don't think I used all that on my page, but I was making that up there for a topic-specific bio for myself. If I was doing a webinar on traffic or social media, I wouldn't be talking about that I'm an expert on webinars. I would flip my bio to be topic specific. Does that make sense to you guys? If so, let us know in the chat. Because I'm happy to see that Mike said a lot of you thought that it helped, and now you know that you want to get authority as to why people should get on, and not why your course or product is great, because they're not here yet to buy your course. They're here to learn and get what's promised in those bullets in that headline. Next, how to use endorsements. The third-party pre-frame endorsement with a video you see before the registration page. Okay, so let me explain how this would work. If we can get the camera on me, please. All right. When I go out to a JV partner that's promoting my webinar, I want to assume that most of the people on their list have never heard of me. So if my JV partner is mailing directly to my registration page, there's a little circle picture of me up there and a headline and a promise, and yes, my topic-specific bio is good, but it's me talking about it. What if you were to ask every one of your JV partners to make a short video in their house or in their backyards with their kids playing in the pool and their little dog running around, or at the park, or whatever the case is, or maybe on their way to the gym or in their car? We've seen all those types of videos. If we can have them make a video that says something like this: hey everyone, It's Mike Filsaime here, and I'm actually just walking around Petco Park right now with my wife, and we're looking to get something to eat. But what I wanted to do is stop and take a minute to make a small little video for you to let you know that I'm doing a webinar next week with Mike Koenigs. The dates you can find underneath. I don't normally make a video like this. However, this webinar I feel is so important that I didn't want you to miss it, that I actually took the time to make this video. I'm going to be there live. It's going to be an exciting webinar. More details about what you're going to learn are underneath, but I'm so excited about this one compared to anyone I've ever done before that I wanted to make you this short video. So click the blue link right underneath this video and it's going to take you to the webinar registration page. When you do that, for a webinar registration page, if you can have your affiliate do that, or if you're doing an affiliate promotion for somebody else's webinar, do that before you promote to your list. Get a blank white page, put a video up there that you shot on your iPhone, little selfie video, and a link that then bridges over to the registration page. You've just added so much more importance to that registration page. I want to let you know that's a little cheat I said to you in my email, one of the emails I sent you, on how you can have an 80% registration rate and a 50% show rate. Isn't that great, right? Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Thanks. Next, conversion tip number 2, results in advance. Tell them that they get a free training PDF or video just for registering. If you want to add a freemium like that, you can deliver that on the thank you page. So here's a question for you guys. Do you think just one of these tips can increase your registration rate by 20%? Or how about if you used all 8 of those tips that I just gave you there? Let me know in the chat, do you think that any one of those tips alone can increase your registration rates by 20%?
All right. We've got yes from Marvin,
Thank you,
George,
Marvin.
Tony, John, David, Winnie, yes.
All right, I'm stepping over here to see how we're doing on time. I'm gonna move a little quicker here. All right, next. Well, guys, that was just law number 1. All right, so I think that some of you are saying 20% easily. I think some of those tips can actually double your profits on your next webinar. Let's move on to law number 2. Law number 2 is the law, if you remember, of the maximum show rate. Hey, it's great. I'm itching. That's why I'm touching my face there. Thank you. The law of maximum show rate. It's great if people register for your webinar, but if they're not showing up, then you're not doing a good job. And what I found is that people that use too little copy on their webinar registration pages actually have very little show rates, because people, they don't see it as an event. They even forgot why they signed up for. So what we like to do, and I'm going to show you here, makes people show up. And the fact that you guys are here shows that everything that I did worked, right? Number 1 is a short cycle promotion. All right, that's a term that I coined. It means limit your webinar promotions to 3 days maximum. If you remember when you got invited for this webinar here, I invited you for this webinar on Monday. All right, so, and here we are Wednesday morning. So just 48 hours ago, I started. Don't go more than 3 days max. If you're doing a webinar on Monday, don't start promoting, and don't ask your JV partners to promote before Sunday. All right, here's why. If you promote on a week ahead of time, it's just as crazy. It starts getting just as crazy as promoting a month ahead of time or 6 months ahead of time. I'm drawing this analogy here, so that you can see, oh my goodness, yeah, it wouldn't make sense for me to promote something a year early. Well, the closer you get to promoting something, the more exciting people are. In fact, if I was to promote sometimes just, hey, I'm doing a webinar today, sometimes that can do very well because people register and it's like, oh my goodness, it's starting in 45 minutes. The further you go away from the starting of the email to when they can register, the more they're going to forget about it. So that's an important tip. Most people think that they want to promote a webinar for 10 days. Big mistake. More emails in the frequency. And also, I like to do my webinars on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you're in the B2B, that means dealing with infopreneurs, you want to do your webinars at about 11 a.m. Pacific. Okay? You don't want to do your webinars at 6 p.m. Pacific. Oh my goodness, that's 9 p.m. for people on the East Coast, and people in the UK, it's like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. All right? And if you're doing something where your audience is working, maybe you're dealing to local businesses and they have hair salons. Well, they cannot be watching webinars at 1 o'clock. You want to do it at a time that's more convenient for them. Okay? If it's a short webinar, I would say maybe very early in the morning or definitely after they can get home. All right? Next, the thank you page. Get your house in order. Give them steps to take. You saw this after you registered. There was a little arrow that said add to your calendar, share it. I asked you to enter your text information so that you can get a text reminder. Many of you got a text reminder as well. Have a video there. I didn't have one here. I put this presentation together, but I wanted to have a video there on my thank you page after you registered. I didn't. My next ones, I'll be adding that. That's very important. It's a good way to welcome people. All right, next. The indoctrination starts here. Start the training immediately. As soon as somebody registers, start sending out some training emails and videos, an audio interview, a podcast, a PDF, a mind map, or something related to what you're going to be sharing. But it has to pique their interest. You don't want to make them feel that they don't need to attend. Some people make a mistake of doing too much training that people say, you know what, I'm going to start with what they trained here before I get on the webinar. It has to pique their interest, okay? Next, so first of all, guys, do you see yourself using any of this here? Please let me know in the chat. I really appreciate Mike's giving me all this feedback. If everything I'm doing is not complicated and you say, yeah, I can see myself doing this, let us know. All right, so I'm going to continue here. Ethical bribery to show up. Promise something that's going to be given away at the start of the webinar for those people who attend early. I wonder what we did here on this presentation. And if you say to yourself, well, Mike, isn't that about like $349? Know your metrics. You can give away a $50 Apple gift card. You could give away a Google Chromecast or an Apple TV for $97 or an Amazon Echo. These things are about $150. But if you know where you're going to be with your profits in your webinar, these things can end up being, a percentage, under 1%. All right. Here's a bonus tip. Do the late breaking news email. This is a secret tip that's only going to be covered live and it won't be on the replay. I'm going to edit it out of the replay. So the late breaking news is you would say something like, hey, I want to let you know to remember to be on our webinar on Wednesday at 11 a.m. But there's something that I've just learned by talking to somebody else about a webinar that I just tested and it worked like gangbusters. I'm going to be sharing it on the webinar, but since I think that this might only work if the entire world knows about this, it might not be as effective. So I'm only going to be sharing this incredible tip on the webinar live, and it had an increase of 10 or 12% on my registration page, whatever the truth is there. However, this particular tip that I'm going to be giving, I don't want this out there on YouTube and for everybody to see, so I'm going to be cutting it out of the replay. So if you want to know that tip, that increased registration by 12%, you've got to show up live. All right? So here's a look of the webinar registration page that we used for this webinar here. And what you're seeing here, this up here at the top, do you know the 5 must-do laws that instantly double webinar profits? I asked a question. I've been split testing, so you might have seen a different headline. I have a call to action. It shows who the presenters are. Underneath that, we have a countdown timer, and Webinar Jam does all of this for you. It's just fill in the blank templates. It's lovely. It tells people, oh, okay, this is starting tomorrow right around this time. Then I have the bullet points, all right? And as you can see, I highlighted there, testimonials on registration pages, do they hurt or do they help conversions? All right, so that was curiosity that I used there. I'm going to move a little bit quicker here for you. This is a little alert. You could use put a topic-specific bio there, or letting people know that maybe there won't be a replay and that you're giving away an Apple Watch. But you want to create urgency on these pages, as you saw. I think on mine, I actually flipped the urgency to a topic-specific bio at the bottom of my page. Okay. Next, law number 3. Let's move on. Moving quick here for you. Law of maximum stick rate. All right. So I've got 4 slides that I'm going to cover for getting people to stay on, because this is the important part when people get on your webinar. The structure of your webinar is important. So when you're doing webinars, you want to do them in 4 parts. The introduction, then the content, that's where we are right now, the transition, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, and then the close. All right. So you want to make a big promise. Here's the promise that I made to you at the beginning of the webinar. I said to you, I promise you that in just over the next hour, that you're going to have the ability to double sales on your next webinar, even if, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Many people start their webinars and they just start going in, and people like to know what they're about to learn. So without a frame at the beginning, people don't know what's coming. If you notice, I said to you, I'm going to teach you 5 laws. Law number 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this, 4 is this, and 5 is the law of encore. I gave you what I'm going to teach you up front first, and now I'm digging in deep. And I said, so now let's go into law number 1, let's go into law number 2. If I didn't do that, and I was at law number 3 right now, you might think there'd be 20 laws, right? So people like to know. This is called opening a loop, and people love to know these things. All right, so next, telegraph your offer, but do it right. Get permission and earn it. So what that means is, if you remember at the beginning of this webinar, I told you that I had a great offer that I think all of you are gonna love. I made sure price wasn't an objection. I can't wait to get it for you and show it to you. But I have to earn it, and that's why I said it's gonna be up to you whether I share it, if this content was worthy enough and deserving enough of me to have 10 minutes to share with you something that I think can help you if you want to continue to work with me. And I think that's a very classy way to do it. Type in the chat, let me know. Didn't you think that I would probably be making an offer on this webinar, right? You've been on webinars before, we know that. So I think it's better when we're transparent about that and you get permission to do it. Because what I think many people do is they don't talk about it, they do their training, and then at the end of their training they say, all right everyone, well, that's the end of the training, and so I want to talk to you about a product I have, and module 1 includes this, and people are like, well, where did that come from? You know, it's just awkward. There's nothing wrong about it. People just don't know how to do the transition. That's why I said the transition is very important. If you ask for that permission earlier, ask people, how did we do? And then, do I have your permission to share something with you? And they say yes. Great, thanks. I'm excited. I think you will be too. And that's what you say to them. Next, eyes, ears, and fingers. Get attendees engaged early and often. That is one of the tips that I got from Mike Koenig, sitting right here. Eyes, ears, and fingers, he told me. He said, Mike, talk, engage to people early and often. If you've noticed, I've been doing that. I've been asking you to chat, get ready, put your questions in the Q&A, how to use the Q&A. And I keep getting feedback from you, okay? And Mike, if you can give me some more water if you get a chance, thanks. All right, next, open loops. You're gonna learn all of this. Let's start with number 1. And I promise to show you this first. You use language like that. I promise to show you this, but first, I want to talk about this. I have a secret bonus for you at the end. We're going to be doing Q&A. These are all loops. If you notice, I did every one of these things on this webinar. I told you what you're going to learn, so now you're ready to break it down. I said I'm going to teach you some stuff, but first I want to set a frame. I let you know about a bonus, how you can get the slides. I told you that we're doing a Q&A. You guys kind of have a sense of what's going on for the structure. It puts you at ease. You may not even realize it, but that's why you enjoy these webinars better. The before and after in your presentation. Show the results of taking action with the information. I'm going to be showing you some results that people have had as well. And then also talk about the consequences for not applying the information or even taking the special offer, okay? Next is a bonus tip I have for you. Recap the value. Many people don't have the ability to pay attention. There's a lot going on. They might be at work. Their kids need to, get changed a diaper, or a phone call comes in. So this is how you transition to your close, by showing them what they just learned and asking them if they like it. And you'll see later, I'm going to say, so guys, let's recap what we learned today. This is what you learned today on this webinar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a couple of tips and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to ask you if you liked it. Law number 4, all right? This is the law of maximum high converting offers. This is the close. And I'm going to teach you, pay attention to when I'm making my offer to you today, my irresistible offer that I believe you're going to love. The way that I structured this offer, while I'm presenting, also take notes. Notice what I'm doing, how I go back and forth with my slides, how I do a stack, how I put these bonuses together for you, how I create urgency and scarcity. Remember, this is a transparent webinar with an incredible offer for you, and I really love that I'm actually teaching you how I've structured this webinar as well. And if you like the way this works, then you're going to understand why it works even just as good for you. All right, so number 1, when you want to get to the close, begin with the end in mind. That was Stephen Covey, all right? If you did all the steps that I'm teaching you so far, then you won't have to sell. And I'm not going to have to sell when I get to this. I'm going to present. you're going to want to buy even before I make the offer. And if I did my job, you should be excited to have a chance to consider my offer. If it shouldn't feel icky, it shouldn't feel pushy, and I shouldn't have any anxiety bringing this offer up. If any of those things you've ever felt on a webinar, that's because you haven't had the opportunity to do what we taught and what's still to come. Okay? Next, part 2 of 5 for the law of maximum converting offers is ensure successes with bonuses. Make the bonus the reasons to buy, not the product itself. Let people buy just for the bonuses being so good. And I have a feeling that's what you're going to see today. Yes, the product is great, that's the core. But when I've put bonus together for other people, when I'm promoting their products, people say to me, Mike, your bonus was so good, I bought it for the bonuses. Now keep in mind, your product creates objections that weren't there until they buy the product. And what I mean by that is, if you buy a product like ClickFunnels, right, Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels, you're going to have an objection after you buy it that says, how do I learn copywriting? Well, now that I know copywriting, how do I get traffic? So what Russell does when he presents on stage for ClickFunnels, he wows people, but then he brings up the objections that they might have in their head, and he uses bonuses to overcome them. He says, you might be thinking, now that I got this great software to build, funnels very, very quickly in my landing pages, how am I going to learn the copy? Well, I've got a great copywriting course that I'm going to teach you. But after you've got a great landing page and it's designed and it's ready to convert, you're probably wondering where I'm going to get joint venture partners. Well, don't worry, blah, 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 I've got a traffic course. So find out what objections your products create that the customers might not have, right? Before buying it. Once they buy it, help them and break those out in bonuses. Many people just put them all in the modules. Module 7, you're going to learn traffic. No, it's modules 1 through 4, and then bonus number 1 is traffic. Don't put all of these things. This is one of the best tips I can give you right now, is look at your product, and instead of presenting it as 8 modules, the core is probably 3 modules, and your next modules can actually be bonuses. So see how you can do that, okay? Just said this right here, I was ahead on my slides. Bonuses must overcome the objections. That is the job of your bonuses. Russell, as I said, does these great. All right. Next, urgency and scarcity. It's very simple. If it's a special, then it must expire. And it can only be for a certain amount of people and for a certain amount of time. And there can be reasons. You're doing a live event. You're doing coaching. You have a certain number of units. It's an introductory price and you're going to be raising the price later. Whatever those things may be, it has to be a special. Why? Because that's how specials work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be special, right? You go to the supermarket, you see something on sale, buy one, get one free, it's going to expire Sunday. We're conditioned. Apple has specials, Best Buy, what do they call those Fridays, Mike, after Thanksgiving? Black Friday. People love special. People love to buy. In fact, I'm going to give you a little story about specials, okay? There might be there might be, let's say, a furniture store in your town that you've been driving by for 10 years. And it's just a furniture store. You drive by there every day. Suddenly you drive by and the lights are flashing like this, and they've got a clown man, that's my impression of a clown man, and he's floating around. And they've got cotton candy and peanuts and all these things, and giving donuts out front. All this stuff is going on. You're like, wow, what's going on? And you see a sign, going out of business, everything must go, 50% off, everything, 50 to 80% off everything in the store. Well, what is happening right now is, it's not that you suddenly needed a nightstand. It's not that you suddenly needed a new headboard. You suddenly needed a new kitchen table. It's that there is a special that's going on. What I just taught you is so important. I don't want it to go over lightly. People can buy anything at any time, and they don't because they're not on sale. We're conditioned to buy things with a special. So in order to make it special, there has to be bonuses that go away. There will be consequences if they don't take action now. You can always buy Webinar Control later, but you're not going to get the special that I'm going to be giving on this webinar, and that's going to be true today as well. Finally, for the law number 4, here's a Super Ninja tip. Living in the promised land. You need to make absolutely certain that the attendee can visualize and see and feel themselves with the results they want after actually using your product. Do not focus on the sit-ups, which are your modules. Focus on the six-pack abs. Use words like, so you can, now you will finally. Can you imagine? do the math, those types of things, okay? So when I say don't focus on the sit-ups, I think people make a mistake. They get into the webinar modules and they do a screen capture and they go over, and in module 1, I'm gonna teach you this. In module 2, you're gonna learn blah, blah, blah. Actually, what's happening is you start scaring people. It starts looking like too much work. People want to look fit. If the infomercial said, we're gonna teach you how to do 6 sets of sit-ups when you wake up at 6 a.m. and eat granola bar, it doesn't sound exciting. People know that there's gonna be a program, they'll find that out when they buy, but you really have to sell them the promised land. If that made sense, and some of these things made sense to you, please let me know in the chat that this is something that you're understanding and having wows. It would really be hurtful to hear this is going over my head. I really wanna know that you guys are saying, I like this, I love it, I can see myself using it, I've learned something on this webinar. Let me know what you're thinking in the webinar. That would really do a lot for me, Mike. Let me know what they say when that starts popping up. Okay?
Yes, absolutely, and yes.
All right, thanks. So part 2 is going to be coming up next. So this is very important. I'm going to talk to you about my product and make you a very special offer right now. But part 2 of the training, the best part of the training, is coming up next, everyone, okay? So let me ask you this question. So far, did I do a good job with just part 1 of giving you stuff, even if you left the room right now, but don't, even if you left the room right now, that you could use in your business starting right now? Let me know in the chat by typing yes or no. And if you say yes, then I'll show you my product and make you a special offer. If there's a majority of no's, then I'll skip the special that I wanted to make for you today and I'll just go on to the training. So I'm seeing yes, 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 lots of yeses, yes. All right, thank you very much, Mike. And anything other than yeses? Or
we have Jesus here who says yes, great info.
I love Jesus, he's always
thank you,
on.
Jesus, it's nice to have him on today. And yeah, this is great. Great job from Lance. Lance said, I canceled a big appointment to be here today and it's been worth it, so keep going, please.
All right.
All right.
And guys, I appreciate you letting me go fast because we had so much content and I've got more. How many people do actual training after they do the offer, right? So that's actually a tip that I'm gonna teach you. So let's move on here. All right, so you guys are excited? You wrote awesome in the chat. My slide was made in advance. That was pretty brave because that could have been embarrassing, right? So let me show you some results here. I shared this with Russell Brunson while promoting his ClickFunnels. He said back to us, holy cow, Mike Filsaime and Andy Jenkins are the ¡1 affiliates of all time for ClickFunnels, all with the help of the last webcast that we did promoting our service. Just one webinar promotion did $250,000 in sales. And this is truly an unfair advantage to anyone that has this insider information. Here is a screenshot. Might be a little bit hard to see, but you can actually see the promotions that we did, the numbers there logging into our ClickFunnels dashboard. Here's Mike Koenig said this to us recently for a promotion he did last year. Mike and Andy consulted me for 3 hours on the webinar control framework. We then applied it to my webinar for webcast profit toolkits, and the results were the best webinar we ever did. One promotion grows $320,000, and now I'm rolling this framework out with every JV partner as well as my evergreen funnels. Do whatever you can to get your hands on this framework. We just did it again for consultant profits. Mike had a record-breaking $100 EPC. The thing that Mike is saying now is, I've got to get more JV partners, and that's what we're working on because it's just absolutely fantastic. Consulted Rich Sheffrin. Rich Sheffrin did a webinar 5 times to his list. The last webinar that he did 11 sales. And when he did 11 sales, he said he came out here and to San Diego for Traffic and Conversion Summit, and he says to me, you know, Mike, I'm working on a new product. And I said, why are you working on a new product? Your BGS is great. He says, yeah, but it's burnt out. I said, no. I said, your presentation is burnt out. Let me share with you the webinar control framework. And Rich says here, we had a product that was great, but our presentation has gone stale. I reached out to my good friend Mike Filsaime, spent just a few hours going over the webinar control framework. Everything worked on the presentation, the offer, but most importantly, the event promotion framework. The result was a 5x increase in sales compared to our previous webinar event. I was truly stunned by the results. If you ever have a chance to get your access, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened is, Rich did a webinar 5 times to his list. That means on his 6th webinar, when they've already seen it and were burnt out, his 6th webinar did 5 times better than any one of his previous webinars. So here's a quick little video I'm going to play for you right here from somebody named Ken Krell.
Hey Mike, it's Ken Krell coming to you from the airport in Shanghai on the way back to the United States for a few days. Hey, I gotta tell you, Webinar Control is freaking brilliant. We used to do 1 webinar a week on Thursday evenings. We've now changed it to a Wednesday and a Friday with live encore and the weekend closeout. And I gotta tell you, right now it is about 10 p.m. Eastern time while I'm here in Shanghai. Just check email. I'm paying for roaming to do this. And I've found multiple new sales for the deadline. And I'm sure there'll be a few more while I'm on air back to New York. Bottom line, this stuff works. We have multiplied sales by this week by 4x, 4 times more sales. I can't be any more excited. Use this as a testimonial. Everybody needs to be following exactly what you've done. I've been doing webinars for years and I thought I knew what I was doing. You have shown me just how much money, how many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars I have left on the table. So thank you so much. Webinar Control, mwah. Love you, Mike.
All right. This framework is pure gold. So now I'm going to tell you the details of what you're getting here inside of Webinar Control with a special offer. So number one, you're going to get instant access to in-depth training that I already have inside the members area for you on Webinar Control. You're going to learn proven hacks that double the sales on every webinar. I didn't have the time to go over every single one of these things here. We would have been here probably for another 3 hours. So I'm going to go in depth and go into more case studies and have examples on all of the 51 plus hacks and so much more. Next is the step-by-step webinar slide structure. I literally give you a set of slides that says the purpose of this slide. The next slide says, here's what you need to do. Then it says, it's not your fault, you're not alone, show statistics here. You will have a slide template in Keynote and PowerPoint that you literally load up and then build your webinar. So not only do I do the training, I do the training on those slides. And I walk through what needs to happen when you get to that slide. And then you take that, put it into PowerPoint or Keynote, and you actually build your presentation with a template. It's a fill-in-the-blank template with a structure that is going to have your webinars converting like crazy. Next is another 2-hour presentation on how to structure your close for the highest possible maximum conversions. This is what is known as the stack or the bonus stack, and how to transition. I give you exactly how to do the offer, then the bonuses, how to stack them, which you're going to be seeing coming up here, then how to do a price drop, another price drop, and a guarantee, and then payment plans, and then reclosing. I break all of this structure down, so you're going to literally have slides that tell you what needs to happen in the structure of an offer. This you're going to absolutely love. I'm just so excited to get this into your hands. Next is the Webinar Control event promotion framework. This is by far the most important part of the course. It tells you exactly how to promote the Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday closeout. It tells you what the emails need to focus on for the first webinar, how you flip and go from blind to in-depth from the encore, and then how you flip from there yet to the offer itself when you start closing out for the webinar. You're going to know exactly what to do in your emails for your JV partners or for them promoting you to give them swipes, and your webinars that you've just created with the training are going to absolutely explode, and any traffic you send to them with Facebook is just going to outperform anything you've ever done before. So Webinar Control itself is $1,997. But next, there's something that is not in the members area that I'm going to be doing soon, and that is a new Webinar Control product launch to double profits compared to traditional product launches. I'm going to teach you how to run the safest product launch for success. Never has there been an easier way to do a product launch for you and your affiliates. Your affiliates will absolutely love it because they only need to promote for 7 days instead of the normal 21 days of a pre-launch and cart open, and they're making money as soon as they start mailing. Use Webinar Control for your next product launch. Gone are the days of producing high production pre-launch videos and a VSL. This will lower your risk, maximize your profits, get you to a product launch within 7 days instead of needing to prepare 3 months, and your affiliates will absolutely love it. Mike and I are actually testing this for his consultant profit right now. The stress has been down to here, the profit's been up to here. Affiliates are absolutely loving it. It's never been taught before. I haven't even taught it. That's a bonus training I'm going to be putting in here. Okay, next. You're seeing Webinar Control plus the Webinar Control product launches. That's a $297 value. Next is the metrics explained. I know this is very, very hard to see, but what you're seeing here is things like EPC, cost per click, self-liquidating offer, CPI, click-through rates, ROI, lifetime value of a customer. I've created a 40-page document that actually breaks them out. And as you see on the right side of your screen, there's examples. I've taken the time in this highly produced PDF that explains, for example, if you do something for 30 days and you get this many visitors to your landing page, I break all of that out for you. That is Webinar Metrics Explained. It's a $197 value that you get on top of everything else. Now, these bonuses that I'm going over are for this webinar, okay? Next is Webinar Funnel Profit Forecaster. A little bit hard for you to see, but what I want you to know is on the left and the right of behind the video is an actual spreadsheet that I created that I'm going to give you. It's a zip file, and you can open it up with Microsoft Excel or on a Mac, and it has scenarios. It will tell you how many visitors you get to a webinar, your conversion rate for your landing page, your conversion rate for the show rate, the stick rate, the close rate, your encore. You put in these different variables, and it's going to tell you what your earnings per click will be, how much you'll make on a webinar, and it's also going to tell you what you need to spend on traffic. So you pop your numbers into forecast, and then you'll know what you can spend on Facebook traffic. And then when you get actual results, you just go back there and change it. This is something I've never shared with anyone. This is my own personal spreadsheet that I use to forecast. I don't wing anything. I'm calculated here. This has frozen cells, so you can't mess up any of the data other than the fields that you can input. You're absolutely going to love that. And on top of that, there is a 1-hour training going over these scenarios that I did with Andy Jenkins. All right, so the funnel forecaster on top of everything else, that's a $197 value. Just to go back on that, guys, what this means is you're never going to make mistakes. You're going to know exactly what you can tell your affiliates. You know what one of the biggest problems is for affiliates? Hey, what's your dollar per registrant? I don't know, my EPC is this. Well, I'd really like to know the dollar per registrant because I do a good job. They're going to say, what's the dollar per attendee? If you don't know how to calculate that, it's frustrating and they don't want to mail for you. So you're going to have all of that information. I know I'm going fast, so remember, more training is coming. And when I show you a link to the order page, at the bottom of the order page is a download to get all of these slides as well. So remember, I am giving the slides at the end of this presentation. So next is my email copy clinic. As you see on the bottom of this slide, it says, this is my personal favorite of the training. In these 2 detailed videos, I will ask you to walk through I'm going to actually walk you through the thought process of every line of my high converting emails. And all these are very high engaging emails. You're going to go inside my head on how I write email copy and subject lines. This is me actually going through several emails that I write. I talk about why I chose a subject line, how I start the intro, why I do everything. It's a walkthrough clinic in copywriting. Some of the most important copywriting you can do today is email copywriting. It's what you give to your JV partners. It's what you use to promote other people, do your internal webinars and launches and everything. This, like I said, is my personal favorite. There are 2 separate videos going over this. I would even recommend when you get access today, jump in and start with that. You're just absolutely going to be blown away with the amount of content in there, okay? So the email copy clinic is a value of $297. So you're getting webinar control, the product webinar control for product launches, webinar metrics explained, the funnel forecast profit forecaster, and the copy clinic. But I'm not done yet. Okay. If I give you the the emails, right? I'm doing the Russell Brunson right now, guys. I'm teaching you what I'm doing. I normally wouldn't do this, but this, I wanted to show you I'm doing what I'm teaching you. You know, Mike, it's great that you're teaching me how to do the emails, but what about having, you know, when I have to write the emails? Well, don't worry. I'm going to give you email swipes of our 8 best promoting campaigns. Each campaign has about 10 or more emails that you can copy paste. I'm going to link you to a private Google Doc where you will see every email from starting from Monday to Wednesday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right down to the Sunday at midnight, the subject lines used. You can copy and paste this and just flip the information in the bullet points for your product. Literally swipe this. All right. And this is for 10 different campaigns, so they're different types of products, so you can see, oh, this is a little more information product, this is a little more software, and over 80 different emails when you combine all of these together. All right, so this is just absolutely great. All right, so here's an example. I know it's very hard to see of the email swipes, but you're going to see exactly what I write. And I said in the Copy Clinic, I break down how I write these emails. Okay, so the email swipes. I've compiled all this information. It's ready for you inside the members area. $297 value. Okay. Next is my ClickFunnels bonus pages. What you're seeing here is what I call the scarcity replay page. Training is coming up on this. Okay. This has a countdown timer, a video with a scrub bar, table of contents. I'm going to break this down in the next part of the training. This is the final part of a closeout on Saturday and Sunday that just blows away like doing a product launch where I told you everybody's just mailing a replay. When you do this, this is what absolutely crushes it. So you're gonna get the scarcity replay page that you can click, one click, and it will load it in the template into your ClickFunnels page. You won't have to worry about building it. And if you don't have ClickFunnels, get it, it's a free trial. And if you still don't wanna do that, I'm gonna give you the HTML for this page so you can edit it anywhere you want. On the right side, what you're seeing is my high converting JV partners page. Okay, it's this is a partner page that we use for all of our JVs. Specific format that has a video, what they're going to get, how they get on your notification list, sign up for your affiliate program, your EPCs, the calendars. There's a certain way these need to happen. So you're going to have a template that you click, it shows up in your ClickFunnels account, you just load your video, and you're going to have a JV page that is designed to give the information quickly to get joint venture partners. This is gold, guys. You're getting this absolutely free. All right, so the email swipes, $297, and actually, I didn't put that there. That should be email swipes and another bonus for $297 for those landing pages that you're going to get to import into your ClickFunnels account. It's not showing here. All right. So next is bonus number 7. This is Webinar Genesis. As you can see on the right, this is a mind map. If you were to blow this up, this is training that is in-depth training on the 5 laws that I went over briefly here today, created by myself and Andy Jenkins. It's over 7 hours of training, all right? It's a slide-by-slide breakdown if you've never done a webinar before. It goes more into the concepts here. This is available for you as soon as you get in. It has everything you need to know about running webinars. This actually sells separately for $497. What's the difference between Webinar Genesis and Webinar Control? Webinar Genesis is a complete, let's call it the idiot's guide, right? You know, the webinars for dummies. It has everything that you need to know step by step what you need to do when you're setting up a webinar. If you've never done a webinar before, this is for you, and it's a great refresher course if you've done one before. Webinar Control is the advanced stuff that we're going over today, okay? So Webinar Genesis sells for $497. Next is Webinar University. Remember I told you about the Super Doc earlier, that after interviewing 26 different marketers, I interviewed 26 of the leading webinar experts across multiple industries, people like Russell Brunson, Jeff Walker, Frank Kern, Mike Koenigs, Brendan Bouchard, and as I said, many people that you never heard of before. I've had them transcribed, I had them highly produced and edited, and there's a recap video of me summarizing what I learned from all of these people, and then additional training from me and Andy in Webinar University. I'm going to get you access to Webinar University as well. As you start going and building this out, you probably want to go, maybe watch some of these interviews, because there's really good information you learn when learning from all these different people, as you see right here. Okay, this is a look inside of Webinar University, as you can see, all of the different training. At the bottom are the videos of all the different names. You would click underneath here, Brendan Bouchard, Mike Koenigs. Here's some additional training you're seeing up here, and more training on the laws. There's your downloads of all the mind maps. Really incredible training. That is actually priceless. I can't put a value on that because that is something that I really don't want to sell anywhere else. I'll probably never sell that. This was my own personal archive of this super document of the quest that we went on to get all of this information for ourselves, but now I'm going to give you access to it, okay? That's pretty awesome. All right, bonus number 9. This is the final bonus here, all right? 60 days of Webinar Jam you're going to get access to, and 60 days of EverWebinar. So if you need something to get started right away and you don't want to spend the money, you could do this, go out, make the money with what I'm going to teach you before you even have to pay for it. Plus, I'm going to give you training on how to actually set up EverWebinar tactical training. This is something I haven't done yet, but I'm going to walk through every little button in EverWebinar with you guys and teach you how I set up my automated webinars. All right. And as you can see here, that's a $497 value. If I total all of this up together, that's a $4,573 value. All right, Webinar Control special offer that I'm making you is coming up next. I just want to ask you, this is something I taught you that you need to do about the Promised Land. Webinars are great for list building. If you did one webinar per week where 500 people register, that would be a new list of 26,000 people that you can mail to every single day. All right, webinars are the best way to actually build a list. So here's a question for you. If the Webinar Control Framework did everything that I'm promising, how much money would you make on your first webinar if you had 200 people show up on your webinar and you had a 10% conversion rate? So if you made 20 sales, do me a favor, type in the chat what 20 sales of your product would be. I'm curious to know what some of the numbers are, and Mike, if they come out, you can shout that out for me. If everything I promised you was true and you had 200 people just on one webinar and you sold 10% of them, you made 20 sales times the price of your product, how much would that be, Mike? When that gets there, you let me know. So
got it.
Keep in mind, that's one webinar. Doesn't include the encore strategy and the weekend closeout, which will double those profits. I'm not even including that. All right? And that would be just one webinar. I'm not even saying that if you did that webinar every other week or 20 times a year, then you can multiply that number by 20. Mike, what type of numbers are they putting in there?
We've got Cliff says $3,000. I've got John says $40,000. Jim says $18,950. Tony says $19,940. Laura says $1,000. Here we go. We got Avelio says 20 sales at $29.97, $59,940. Eileen, over $20,000. David, $9,940. Lance, $59,400. So the numbers keep on coming in, but this is very impressive. Really big numbers. So clearly you can see the value in this. And again, speaking for myself, this system just flat out works. So why don't you continue on, Mike? I know everyone's anxious to see the deal.
I know, it's coming. I had to build this up for you. So that's if you did one webinar, what you're putting in there, if everything I'm telling you is actually true. Just one webinar. It doesn't even include doing the encores. It doesn't even include closing it out on the weekend, which would triple it. And then what if you did it 20 times per year? I don't even want to ask you to put that number in the chat. You probably couldn't imagine what life would be like having that. Okay, final question. If you made that annual income, if you did, that you just typed in there after accessing Webinar Control Training, would that be worth the $4,500? I think that you would say yes, assuming that you had the money. Well, I'm not going to have you pay the $4,500. There's bonuses there. We're going to take them out. You're going to get all of the bonuses for free. So the final sales price today to get started is just $1,997. However, I'm going to give you this right here. Okay, I'm gonna give you $1,000 savings. I have every intention of selling this starting next month for $1997. But if you promise to share your case studies with me after you go through the course, like all the people have already that you saw earlier, and apply what I teach you, and you'll be a leader in the industry, all I ask is that you allow me to use your success as a case study on my slides. if you share that with me, like I shared some of you with today. Once I have enough case studies, then the price is going to $19.97. So if you're willing to do that for me, I'm more than happy to give you a $1,000 discount as I'm rolling this product out. So just backing up here again, you're getting webinar control, how to do it for product launches, webinar metrics explained, the funnel forecaster, email copy clinic training, all of my swipes, the ClickFunnels pages, 2 of them, Webinar Genesis and Webinar University, the super doc archive of all the videos and everything like that, and access to Webinar Jam and access to EverWebinar so you can get started right away. So that price is $19.97. Today only, I'm giving you a $1,000 discount so you can get started for just $997. All right. So here's another thing. You can pay on the order page with PayPal, Bill Me Later. Just click the orange button that you see right above the chat. Mike, it's there right now. Okay, that's going to take you to the order page. It's going to recap everything that we have. Don't worry, it's going to open up in a new window, so you're not going to lose this page. You're still going to see part 2 of the training. Click that button now. Click on PayPal. Then choose the Bill Me Later option. PayPal is offering right now 6 months 0 interest and 6 months no payments if you pay it off within 6 months. What that means is you can get access today to everything that I just mentioned, including that last bonus, and not have to pay anything today. You just choose Bill Me Later. I have a little video on the page that teaches you how to do it. When you go to PayPal, instead of using PayPal funds or a credit card, choose PayPal credit. And then it'll ask you for your social security number, give you instant approval. You can pay us today and you make no payments for 60 days. You have no payments for 6 months, no payments for 6 months, and you pay 0 interest for 6 months, as long as you pay it off in 6 months. All right? Now, that is only if you qualify for credit, and it is only for US residents only. So what I've done is if you don't have the credit, and you're not a US resident, but you do want to go with a cash flow option, I have 3 easy payment plans. It's also available for you. You can get access today for only $397. So if you want to get started with everything that I said today, click that button, be one of the first 50, get started today for just $397, or choose to Bill Me Later, or if you just want to get out of the way, painful, whatever you want to do, the choice is yours. Remember, this comes with a 30-day, no questions, money back guarantee. I think the only reason why you would want to get a refund back is if you just don't go through the training. If you can get access today for no payments, for no interest for 6 months, you don't have to make a payment for 6 months and there's no interest, then why not get started today? All right, so remember, $997, PayPal, Bill Me Later, and 3 payments to $397. We're going to be getting back now to part 2 of the training. But I just want to remind everybody that unit is tied to our shopping cart. There's a little pixel that goes up, so those units are going to be dropping. And once that thing hits 0, I am not giving that other bonus there. All right, guys. So let's move on to part 2 of the training. This should say law number 5. This was me not fixing that. So make a note. This is law number 5. Law of the Echo, the Encore strategy. So how this works is most replay strategies simply do not work. So before you do a replay, do a live Encore to the people that missed it, because live is always going to convert better than a replay. So in fact, I'm going to be doing this again because I'm following my own framework. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition my emails now. At this point, my emails are going to start saying things like, hey, this webinar was so great. We copied some screenshots of what you guys said in the chat. Look what people said. And I'm doing a transition. I'm going to teach you all of that. All right. So next is I want to show you some statistics here. This on the left in green is a live webinar, and the purple is a replay. So just the framing of live shows that people for the first hour continue to grow, slowly goes down after you give the offer and then you're doing the Q&A. 43% of the people saw a live webinar that I did that was 2 hours and 27 minutes. I do the replay, and as you see on the right, boom, they show up in the room, and then they drop out. Only 6% of the people actually see the replay. As I said, they don't work. All right, so pre-frame your live Encore. I just got off the webinar. If you missed it, it was great. It was amazing. All those things that I just said. As I said, you're getting these slides. Click the order button that you see right there. Get started for $397. Scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll actually get access to these slides. All right, you can do custom messages depending on whether or not people showed up to the webinar, left early, showed up late, they bought it, they saw the price but didn't buy, all these different things. With Webinar Jam and EverWebinar, you can actually make custom emails based on the behavior. That really helps. Hey, I noticed you left early and didn't see the offer. right? Or I noticed you didn't show up. Here's an opportunity. We're redoing the webinar again. Escalate reasons to watch the Encore replay. People raved about the training. We're offering a new price plan. We've added a scrub bar. There's a table of contents. You can go to exactly where you want to go. There's a special offer. It's expiring. The price is going up. The bonuses are going away, et cetera, et cetera. All right, next, now matters. All right, I'm going to go through this one very quick because I know that we're running a little long on time. But when you're doing a webinar, evergreen proof it. Try to leave out anything that is going to, if you want to take this video and use it for 2 to 3 years because it converts well, don't say things like, how was that Breaking Bad finale last night? Or what did you think about the debate with Clinton and Trump? All of a sudden, if people think that you're doing a live webinar and you're doing an automated event, it's gonna completely blow it. So make sure when you're talking your presentation, if you plan to use it live, then do not put anything in there that is gonna stamp it as being old. Okay. Next, use the scarcity replay page. All right. I told you I'm going to give you that when you buy Webinar Control, and I'm going to show you an example of that right now. But basically, it has a headline, a video with a scrub bar. A lot of people think I'm crazy for this, but you want a scrub bar. A lot of people show up late to this webinar and they want to pop in and see what they missed. Some people leave early and they know they were here for 40 minutes. They want to go to the 40-minute mark, and some people want to recap the offer. They were here. They want to know what they're getting. So when I send people to this page I'm going to show you, I show the full video with a scrub bar, but then I put a table of contents underneath it with a timestamp of every single thing that is going on in the video. The price drop, the bonuses, what I trained, what I taught, the Q&A, what questions were asked, everything. I put a countdown timer on the page. It always expires Sunday. I have a second video that is just a recap of what you get, so they can, if they want to just see me explaining the offer, they don't have to find it in the video. There's a separate video on the page that does that. I have a text recap of what's included in the offer, so they can read it. I have testimonials and a buy button with payment plans and PayPal credit, because that's something that I use. In fact, you're going to see my order page is structured very similar to that. My replay page, the scarcity replay page, is going to be the order page with a video and a countdown timer and the table of contents. So let's see an example. Here's an example. You see the headline, a video, a countdown timer. Underneath it, you see table of contents. You can see it says the price at 1 hour and 31 minutes. Get access to bonuses, 40-minute Q&A. The more detailed you can put on these timestamps, the better. In fact, when you start mailing, now you don't even need copy for your emails. You just copy and paste this and say, here's what you're going to learn on the webinar. All right. After that, you can see we have a recap of what they're getting, the price plans, testimonials, et cetera, guarantees, all those different things. That's what we mail. So remember, just a recap of that slide that I showed you earlier. What you're seeing Wednesday is what most people do, a typical bar graph. Their next webinar would be half of that. With what you're going to learn, you do even more on the Encore and just about the same on the Saturday. These are like doing mini launches every week. Nobody is training this. This is something that I've put together by interviewing so many experts and combining this information. That's why this is so powerful. So a quick recap of what we've learned. You only have to improve 5 areas by 20%, and those 5 areas were your registration, your show rate, your stick rate, the offer and the close, and then finally the Encore strategy, which is the bulk of what the Webinar Control Framework is based on, those last 2 things there. But obviously we have in-depth training on everything. All right, so that's how you double profits or start your own no-fail webinar, even if you've never done one. All right, so again, we're gonna now go into the Q&A. So Mike, I hope we've got some questions. I wanna do a recap. I'm gonna ask Mike how many of those bonuses we have left. Quick recap on the offer. I'm not going through it all over again, but you get Webinar Control, Webinar Control training for product launches, which I haven't done yet. I'm going to be doing that in about a week. You're going to get Webinar Metrics Explained plus training that explains it. My spreadsheet for the Webinar Funnel Profit Forecaster. The Email Copy Clinic, that's training of me going over all of my emails. You'll get all of my email swipes. A ClickFunnels replay page that you can import, or HTML. My high converting JV page that gets me JV partners. You get access to Webinar Genesis and the Webinar University archives, and 60 days free access to Webinar Jam and EverWebinar, all of which is a $4,500 value, all today for just $997. And you can get started with just $397 today. You'll be done paying in just 60 days. And by all means, take the PayPal credit, bill me later option. So that is everything that is included in this. Well, I'm going to go now, Mike, to the questions. Do we have any questions there?
Great. Well, one of them that popped up I've seen is what can you use the system? This is what John asked earlier. By the way, John just got in. I saw Robert got in. I've seen Evelio's gotten in. We've got right now we're down to let's see, the timer's done. We've got down to 37 available units right now, so that's great. We got people joining, so that's awesome. So the question is, will this work with any webinar program like GoToWebinar, Webinar Jam, EasyWebinar, one of the other platforms? So what do you say to someone who asks that question?
That's a great question. This is webinar agnostic. What that means is if you have custom technology, you're a hardcore GoToWebinar user, it's going to be a little bit difficult to do some of the things because Webinar Jam is made for marketers, but you can use EasyWebinar, Russell Brunson's automated webinar inside of ClickFunnels. You can use Stealth Seminar. You could use anything. Obviously, as the co-founder of Webinar Jam and EverWebinar, I've designed this to those programs to be the best, but you get free access to them for 60 days, but you can use any one you want. I want to remind you as well that you can click that button there on the right. It will open in a new window, and you can get started and get access today with the Bill Me Later, pay in full at $997, and you get all the bonuses. There are still some bonuses available left. So click Get Started for just $397. Mike, any more questions there?
I just want to welcome Dave, who is in. So
yeah, let us know, guys.
On
if you just purchased, let us know in the chat. Pop in, let us know that you're about to go to the checkout, you're about to buy, you just purchased, whatever the case is. We'll give you a shout out here live as well.
All right, and one of the things that popped up is, it was, this is Charlene had asked a little bit earlier. I want to fill a live virtual workshop with 10 people and would like to do it via webinar. So can you talk a little bit about using this for either smaller audiences or larger audiences like you're in front of right now? I mean, what kind of businesses will this work for? Is it good for online or offline businesses, brick and mortar businesses? What's the flexibility? So again, I thought maybe we'd kind of spread that and answer Charlene's question, but then go a little bit deeper. Sure,
great question. So this really works very well for almost any type of niche that you can imagine. I have some friends that I used to work with in the car business, Anthony Saletti and Steve Richards. They might even be on this webinar today. We haven't spoken in years. They found out what I'm doing, hit me up about a month ago. They actually bought Webinar Jam and then were like, I just heard a voice. That's Mike Filzame, as I used to say in the car business. Mike Filsame, oh my goodness, they contacted me. And what they do is they build websites for local businesses and salons in the area, but they want to go national. And they were talking about how do they do this. I gave them exactly what they need to do. I said, just target a market and do a webinar, in fact, an automated webinar, and get the leads in and do the presentation there. So this can be done for coaching and consulting. If you have a high price consulting or coaching program, you can use a webinar where the call to action is an application. Frank Kern has done that over the years. Many marketers, Alex Jeffries uses that. So absolutely, this will work for pretty much any niche that I can imagine. I've done webinars for software. Most people with good software actually do webinars with their joint venture partners. This works with YouTube advertising, YouTube videos, pay-per-click, search traffic, Facebook, social media, you name it, any type of traffic you send to this, it's going to work for you. I couldn't imagine if you're not doing webinars or if you are doing webinars right now that you saw this and all the case studies that I showed you and the training that is detailed for you to follow like templates that you wouldn't get started today. And that's why I'm so happy to see all these sales coming in our notifications here. So thank you very, very much. Now, we did promise to take a couple of more questions and then wrap up the webinar once the questions are done. So please make sure to get started, and remember you can get started today for no payments for 6 months and no interest for 6 months. Absolutely. So let's go to there were a Q&A.
While you do that,
Mike. Yeah,
I'm going to just add something here because there were a couple really great questions about the best days and times to run webinars. So Mike's going to answer that, but I do want to just speak to the power of this program, because I've obviously known Mike now about 10 years and watched him develop products, programs, and I've had the good fortune of doing work and business with him, but also getting immersed inside this product. And I have to say that when we decided to completely change the way we're doing webinars and online, I went to Mike. He consulted with me, and then we did it again. And I will say that using this model that Mike just covered today, first of all, it's adaptable to any business type. It doesn't have to be online. But here's what I love about it more than anything. When you have one that works and it generates sales, at that point, you know exactly what your metrics are. So you can work with someone, whether you do it or work with someone to generate traffic or leads or wherever your leads come from. This thing becomes a constant ongoing money machine, whether you're working with joint venture partners or buying traffic on Facebook or using YouTube, but it actually becomes a source of not only new business and new income, but it's something that, again, keeps on working over and over again. And I don't know of an easier, better way of doing it. Doing it this way, Mike's way, has saved us tens of thousands of dollars. And it's something that anyone can do sitting down. You don't need special fancy equipment. You can build and do webinars with nothing more than your laptop at home or in your office, or you can scale it and do it like Mike's doing here. So I just want to give Mike my highest endorsement, because this flat out works, and the time and the money it saves is crazy good. All right, back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike. And remember how you can get the slides. Click the button that's right above the chat right now. Don't worry. It's not going to end this broadcast or anything like that. It's going to open in a new window. In fact, I want to ask every one of you right now, click that button in case you want to review this after the webinar is over, so that you don't lose this page. So click it now. It opens in a new window. There's no video there on the page. Nothing is going to distract you. We made it so that you could purchase in less than about 3 minutes, so you can get access. You still can hear my voice going on in the background. And for those of you that are purchasing or not purchasing, scroll all the way to the very, very bottom of the page where you would see the copyright notice. There should be a link in the terms of service there that says download bonus slides. You will actually get access to these slides right here. So I want to ask you, did you appreciate what I had shared with you today? Can you see yourself using this in your business? Was this worth it? I don't even know how long we've been on here, Mike. I'm sure it's been a while. Almost 3 hours?
No.
An hour and 45 minutes?
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, wow. Felt like,
not long at all.
Felt much longer.
That's actually because you've been working your butt off, my friend. Yeah, you've been working hard.
So I'm gonna go over to the chat here. I'm gonna see what you guys are saying in my scroll here. Yes, Michelle, thanks, Mike. Some great pointers. I wonder if that's my wife. Just kidding. My wife, Michelle. Julie, great stuff. And who's that? Put my glasses on here. Corey, Maxim Register. I was still putting that in. Jim, great presentation. Chris Bully Williams, one of my friends from high school, giving a shout out. They're definitely worth it. Thank you, Chris. Chris is somebody I just reconnected with, a high school friend hit me up the other day and said he heard my voice on Webinar Jam as well. We had a talk yesterday. Marvin says fantastic. Daniel, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you for being here with us, Mike. If we have any questions, I'll be happy to get them. Once this webinar ends, regardless of whether or not we sold the 50 units, we are going to be taking away that bonus, all right? So if you're not buying by the time that we shut this off, you don't get that bonus.
Yeah, and while you do that, we can answer that other question in a moment. We'll get to the other question that got asked, which are the best days and times to run webinars.
Now, Mike had asked a question. Well, what are the best times to promote a webinar?
Yeah, days and times to promote and do them, because I know one of them, we had someone said, what do you recommend for what they call a macro, for like they're in the parent market, for example. So if it's parents or business owners or whatever, but what have you found across the board as being the most effective? And by the way, get inside and click that link right now.
So what was that business?
Before the bonus
they're
get up.
Parenting niches?
Well, in this case, they're a parenting niche. Mm-hmm. But I'd say let's answer it globally as well. So we'll answer the first question, which was John had asked that question.
Well, so John, in the webinar control framework, I teach Wednesday and Friday because I like the short cycle promotion. Most people have told me that they found that doing webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays are better, and that may be the case. The reason why I do them on Wednesdays and Fridays is when you're working with JV partners, they tend to work in week blocks. So they finish a promotion and then it's okay Sunday, they wake up Monday, all right, what am I promoting? If I do a webinar on Tuesday and they start mailing on Monday, I don't have enough time to really drive as many leads as I like. So I like to start promoting on a Monday and do my webinars on Wednesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays are also good. In certain niches, like personal development, certain people found that Saturdays work very well. Yep. If you're working with people that have a day job, or business, or they're Wall Street or bankers or whatever the case is, and maybe it's not convenient, doing evenings are not very good. If you want to do it at 6 p.m. on the East Coast, then it's 3 p.m. for those on the West Coast, and they can't get there. So if you want to wait for the West Coast people to get home, you got to start at 6, and that's 9 o'clock for an East Coast person. So try to avoid the night if you can, but test it against doing it on Saturday and Sunday. Our very good friend John Assaraf does these mega webathons on Saturdays that go for 4 hours, and he likes to do them on Saturdays, and you can get people to stay on longer. I've noticed that sometimes, especially if somebody's hadn't prepared the people for how long the webinar is, if you do it during the week, you do tend to people get saying, how long is this going to be? I only have an hour, and I'm sure that was even the case today. Even though in terms of times, if you're doing B2B, meaning you feel that your people are infopreneurs, entrepreneurs working at home, and they can set their own schedule, do them at around 2 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Pacific time, like we did today. We find that that's the best. It's good for the people in the UK. It still works for people in Australia, and it's worked best for us.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, and for the other lady that had I forgot her name. If you remember, let me know. She had asked for the homeschooling niche. If you're dealing with moms that are most likely home, definitely do it during the day. In fact, sometimes early the better. Maybe they put their kids off to sleep or nap time or whatever, and you don't want to get later in the day. As much as I sign up for webinars at 6, 7 o'clock at night, when I get home or when I'm done working, I turn into a vegetable, man. I want to watch Stranger Things on Netflix, and what I just did is a mistake if I was evergreening this, right? I'm talking about something that's time sensitive. But I get tired. I want to cook dinner, and I don't want to be sitting in front of a computer for 2 hours like this, going till 10:30 at night. Yep. We used to do that. Lots of people used to do it. It's becoming less and less popular.
Right. So, and I will just echo everything you said. We've definitely done Saturdays as well. And I know when I was doing the JJ Virgin events, we would even start at 1 o'clock and then go until about 6 o'clock. That's Pacific Standard. But we've also started earlier as well. So again, for moms, stay-at-home moms, do it during the day. But I think for business people, I completely agree. We've had the same luck, and I'll just echo what Mike said, which is that 11 o'clock time frame is perfect. So, and I see there's just 12 units left. So make sure you get inside there to take advantage of Mike's bonuses before he runs out. And the comments keep on coming in. Again, as soon as you join and you get inside the program, make sure you just say, I'm in. So Mike can see you're in and also congratulate you as well. And congratulations, David, for jumping into the program as well. This is very exciting. So great job on all the information. And again, if you enjoyed everything that Mike had to share, he'll be reading the rest of the comments later, but give him a big virtual round of applause.
I really do appreciate when you do that. Everybody loves the validation to make sure that we did things right. And I just got a text from John Assaraf. He's actually here in the room. He said he's given a couple of shout outs to Mike Keenings and myself while we were doing. Hi, John. John is one of the people that we share information back and forth. He probably has one of the most successful webinar automated businesses. As I said, he does his on Saturday. And yes, I have picked his brain, and I've taken that information and put it into the course with his permission. So you're learning from the world's best. I'm really excited to see all the new names that keep saying I'm in here. We're going to be wrapping up after a couple more questions, and we're down now to 11 units to get that bonus. Change your life. Remember, what if everything I said to you was actually true? If it wasn't, you got a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can get started with no payments and no interest if you have the credit, and you live in the United States for 6 months. You can get started on everything. You're getting access to the software, everything you need to get started. There's the people that I've shared this with literally send me videos at airports, blown away. It's so hard to make a claim, I'm going to double your profits on your next webinar. The truth is, this stuff triples the profits of the people that I share it with. And it's easy to implement, especially if you're already doing webinars. And if you're not, I think I made a great case at the beginning on why you should be doing webinars. It's the easiest, fastest way to get started online. And doing funnels and tripwires and product launches is good, but it's tough. It's for the experts. It's for seasoned people that have learned these processes over time. Webinar Jam is doing 650 plus webinars a day, I believe. It's become self-evident that webinars are the way to do it. But as I said to you, I wasn't always good at these things. And if you aren't good at it either, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's not always, it's easy to get up and running and get your slides up, but learning everything and reverse engineering what I did here could be difficult. So that's why I put this together in the training. $397. Just click that button, get started. I promise you, this is going to be one of the best training courses and have probably some of the best return on investment on anything you've gone through, because it's not. It's tactical. It's not something that is on theory. It's not on psychology. It's tactical things that you can do. It's templates, it's emails, things you can swipe. Literally the slides that you're going to be getting. You will see the first slide says make a big promise. The second slide says this. Now talk about your big three, recap. You're going to have the structure to do this. I'm excited for all the names that are saying I'm in. We are down now, still 8 units here left is what I'm seeing to get started. Mike, any additional comments or questions, please let us know.
Well, Lance just said, he said only 10 left when they were that was a couple moments ago. So Tony just says, thanks, Mike. Always so much fun to see you operate on camera. Your sincerity is appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Who's that, Lance?
That is Tony.
Tony, thank you. And Lance as well.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. And Dave just said, great job. Early adopter webinar jam. I'm in. Marvin gave you a standing ovation. So again, as you join and get inside the program before it runs out, take advantage of those extra bonuses that Mike's given you, the half price special as well. And this is great. I'm not seeing any more questions. I think we answered all of them, because really you covered virtually all of the questions that came in. I was watching them inside your content, which that's another important tip, is once you have a conversation with your audience, you can practically read their minds. Mike basically read your mind even before you knew what questions you wanted to ask.
Man, I have a passion for webinars. I really, truly do. And it's interesting. I used to share some of this information at masterminds in bullet points, but then people would want to get consulting from me. And it was interesting with your product, Consult and Profit. I used some of your tips and started teaching this stuff and flying out to people. And they paid me $25,000 to go over stuff that I didn't have organized here. So I'd sit with them, but essentially I was giving them everything that's here. This is what you would pay me if I flew out to you to get $25,000 for. And you're getting it today for $997. You can get started for just $397. It's a no money back guarantee. So I'm going to bring up the math slide again in my head. If I had asked you if everything I said was true and you did just one webinar and you had 200 people show up and we teach you how to get people on your webinar and you sold at 10% and you made 20 sales at your price point, you guys were typing in things like $18,000, $40,000, $3,500, $11,000, doing just one webinar if everything I said was true. And then I said that didn't even include doing the encore on Friday,
Right.
and then doing the closeout. So you could triple that number. And what if you did that 20 times per year? You triple that number and then you multiply it by 20. These are the numbers that we live in. We know
Right.
people that live in these numbers. That's how you build businesses. That's how you get customers to love you. You guys are saying you like me because I can't convey this in a video sales letter. I can't do this in product launches or tripwires. These are the best ways to market. I truly hope the only reason you didn't take Access today is because you couldn't afford it. And that I understand. And that's why we tried to make it affordable so the price wouldn't be an objection for $397. You owe it to yourself to have that. And certainly try the PayPal credit option. You don't have to pay it for 6 months and there'll be no interest. Just pay it off within 6 months. Click that button, all the details are there for you. It'll open up in a new window. I'll check with Mike and see if we have any more questions as we approach the 2-hour mark and respect your time and get started. And there are still about 5 units left that you can get started with that bonus if you are one of the next 4 people that get started.
Great. Well, I know one of the things, I'm just going to do this to have done it. So Artemisia says, she said, a great, super, exceptional, impressive, magnificent. So, but there we go. Lance
Good
said.
job. Who's that? What was her name?
That was Artemisia.
Artemisia, thank you so much for getting started with us today. Some of the training that I'm going to be doing in the members area, remember I told you I'm going to it's not done yet, is the product launch, how to use webinar control for a product launch. Mike's actually using it right now for Consult and Profit.
Right.
I'm going to be training that. I'm going to be doing that live with everybody. So if you guys are purchasing, you're going to be getting involved with that when I do that live, and I'll be doing Q&A there as well. I really want to
And that really was
this.
Cash's question. How's a webinar product launch different than a standard product launch? And the answer is, Mike's going to break it down step by step and teach it, but the short answer is it's about 1/10 as much work, and it produces about the same amount of income and revenue with a lot less risk, a lot less setup. It's just a lot easier. I don't want to touch a traditional product launch anymore because you don't have to do as much work. It's like if you could make 10 times as much or make the same with 1/10 the work, what would you choose? And the answer is do a webinar launch.
It's exhausting. And there's a lot of risk, and you shut down your entire business. I'm gonna confess to you something. This is true. I'm a little bit of a procrastinator. The slides that you see today, I started yesterday at 1 p.m. and I thought I'd be done by like 7. I didn't finish till 5:45 this morning. Mike knows that because I was sending him hey for the producers.
I saw it. It's like, I got up in the middle of the night just to check, and I hate to admit this. I checked my email at the middle of the night, but I'm like, oh no. Like, I hope he's going to be fresh tomorrow, and you are.
I tell you what, if you thought my slides looked good, I went on Fiverr and I asked somebody to create me some slides with white and blue and blah, blah, blah. I had them in a couple of days. And so slides like this, you can probably get done for about $70 by the time they upsell you. I started at 1 o'clock and I was done by 5 a.m. So what is that? That's it's about 2 days worth of work, right? If I would have done 2 normal 9 to 5s. What does it take to put in a product launch? You've got so many people in your team, and oh my goodness,
it's months.
So I'm going to teach you how to use webinar control for product launches. Essentially, what you do is you do the presentation like I'm doing right now. Then you import it from Webinar Jam into EverWebinar, and then you set it up and you hit clone for every JV partner, and you set 6 weeks, and you contact your JV partners, and you say, just choose one of those weeks, and I'm going to have a dedicated webinar for you to send. And they're in and out in about 6 days. They don't have to do video 1, video 2, video 3, and everything. They can find a time that's convenient for them, and it gives you 6 weeks to do your product launch, where I basically put 2 hours into this. Obviously, I have the product created. I put 2 days into this, and now I have something that I can have JV partners promoting for years and years and years and years to come.
A genuine asset. So, well, I think that wraps up the questions, and we're down right now to, let's see, what do you have? 1 unit left. So definitely get inside this. Take advantage of Mike's bonuses. Great job, Mike. This is fantastic. And I don't have anything to add, so I'll just go back over to the other side, and you can wrap it up.
Right. Well, I want to thank you, Mike, for helping me out.
Give him one more round of applause, virtual round of applause.
We're here in Mike Koenig's studio. I was actually here when he did the Consult and Profit, and I said, hey, I'd like to do my next one here. Not necessary. Normally when I do something, you would see me sitting at home with my webcam on, and then I would go to the slides, and the effect is actually identical, but it was great to be able to have Mike here help me with the Q&A. So we are wrapping up. There is one more unit left. We are at the top of the second hour. It felt like 3 to me, but maybe that's because there was a lot of content. Say goodbye in the chat. Tell me one last time if you enjoyed this. Say goodbye to Mike Koenig. Say thank you to Mike and his team here that was helping us behind the glass. I want to thank you very much. Another shout out again to my friends Steve Richards, Anthony Saletti, Chris Boley-Williams. I know people on my team like Aaron and people at Branditize and Joe Jablonski were here helping us put this all together. It was a lot of fun. And click that button. If you get in, I'll make a deal with you. Get in the next 5 minutes and I'll give you that bonus. I am shutting down the bonus. If you don't complete your order, I'm instructing the team, all sales that come in after that will not get access to that bonus that I'm going to be getting. That, believe me, is worth the price of admission alone. $397, 30-day money-back guarantee. Click the button, get started, get that unit. We have one unit left. It's sold out. We have sold out of the bonuses. And you've got 11 more minutes to get this as we close down. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to play a quick, short video to close this out. I'm going to be gone. It's 3 more little case study testimonials that you can listen to while you consider if this is right for you. Mike named a lot of the people that purchased. I want to thank all of you that purchased personally. I might even be doing something that Mike showed me recently. I might be shooting a personal video on my iPhone and sending it to you in the next 24 hours to say thank you for being part of this. So thank you very much. Take care, and we'll be seeing you on the inside. Bill me later option. Take that if you can. Just look at what one of our customers, Ken Krell, had to say after going through it.
Hey Mike, it's Ken Krell coming to you from the airport in Shanghai on the way back to the United States for a few days. Hey, I gotta tell you, Webinar Control is freaking brilliant. We used to do 1 webinar a week on Thursday evenings. We've now changed it to a Wednesday and a Friday with live encore and the weekend closeout. And I gotta tell you, right now it is about 10 p.m. Eastern time while I'm here in Shanghai. Just check email. I'm paying for roaming to do this. And I've found multiple new sales for the deadline. And I'm sure there'll be a few more while I'm on air back to New York. Bottom line, this stuff works. We have multiplied sales by this week by 4x, 4 times more sales. I can't be any more excited. Use this as a testimonial. Everybody needs to be following exactly what you've done. I've been doing webinars for years and I thought I knew what I was doing. You have shown me just how much money, how many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars I have left on the table. So thank you so much, Webinar Control. Mwah. Love you, Mike.
Hi, Alan Cutts here with FTC Guardian. I want to talk to you a moment about webinars, specifically about hosting and putting on webinars. My partner, Chip Cooper, and I have been putting on a webinar for FTC Guardian for well over 18 months. And we really thought we had it locked up and nailed down. We knew our numbers. We know what we can go to our JV partners and tell them what they're going to make if they have a good host, good audience, and they have a good communication line with their audience. We can almost tell them what they're going to make, right? We had the opportunity to do a webinar with Mike Filsaime. He introduced me to something called the Webinar Control Framework. I didn't have any clue really what it was. But he went through and he broke it all down for me and said, this is what you need to do. I followed his advice and that's what we did. Well, oddly enough, after doing that framework, it increased our overall sales, which means our affiliate payout, by 33%. Get that? 33%. So now we've started to implement it with any other future JV partners that we're working with. I mean, give you an idea of what that is in real numbers. Let's say that an affiliate made $100 per attendee. That same affiliate now is making $133 per attendee. So obviously, JV partners are pretty happy about it, right? So listen to Mike when he talks about the Webinar Control Framework. You're going to love it. Take care.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Trivy, and I am an executive consultant for Centerpoint Research Institute. And I want to talk to you today about Mike Filsaime and his incredible ability to work with clients who are on the verge of building a webinar. And what Mike does is he makes sure you do it right. You don't waste time and you make the money that you should be making. It's funny because his Webinar Control is just an awesome program, and on top of that, his consulting and what you get for the money is so valuable. If you have the chance to work with Mike on either, on your webinar, I really, really encourage you to do so.